siguro bonus question, sir. Do you have a target price for DNL?
um, so, so that's a tricky question kasi, di ba, I obviously self-serving yung sagot ko. What I can tell you is that
Hi guys, thank you for tuning in. This is the first ever interview with the company that we're doing with MyTrade. So what we'll do now is I'm with Sir Alvin Lao of DNL. We're here to get to know what DNL is and who's the face behind it. Hi sir, how are you?
hi, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm good and
He's
happy to join you.
This is gonna be a segment that will be carried on in our social media accounts. This is to get to know the company in a different way. So I have a few questions here that I want to ask you. The first one is, sir, can you tell us who is DNL?
Sure. So DNL is, in short summary, DNL is a company that uses R&D to customize and develop specialty ingredients for the food as well as the chemical industries. And we're a B2B company, so we don't make anything that's branded, but there are a lot of branded products in the Philippines which contain our ingredients. So whether it's in the food ingredients itself, or the chemical product itself, or the packaging, we're involved in a lot of that type of work.
Sir, is it allowed to mention one company that that gives us like an idea of what you give, like a packaging or a food grade or a raw material? So do you
Sure.
have an idea what is it?
Sure. So we've actually disclosed before. I think it's in our investor presentation. We have mentioned before that our customers would include a lot of the fast food chains, for example. So all the big fast food chains pretty much are our customers for the various ingredients. So it would include Jollibee, McDonald's, KFC, the pizza guys, the donut guys, Maxis. So they're all customers in one way, shape, or form. And then, so that's on the food side. And then on the, yeah, so even like manufacturers of, let's say, appliances, paints, manufacturers of construction type of work. So we make a lot of powder coating or paint that's used in mga light fixtures and other equipment or material used in construction. We also make biodiesel. So our biodiesel we sell to a lot of the oil companies. So we're in a lot of different products for a lot of different customers.
Oh, that's very nice. I think our audience will be glad and will be amazed to know that all the things that you've mentioned nasa likod nun sa DNL. Who would have thought? I mean, before they used to they just know it as a stock code, and not iba kapag nagso-storytelling tayo ganon. And what do you think comes to mind when people hear DNL? Having said that,
yeah, DNL is actually not an easy company to describe, primarily because we don't really carry any branded products. So that's kind of been a challenge for us. So in fact, when we did our IPO in 2012, our PE or price to earnings ratio back then, I think was around 10.5 or 11, which would be a typical PE for a manufacturing company. And I think that time the market was trading at roughly probably 15 or 16 times PE. So we were trading at a discount to the market. So what we had to do, we had to explain that yeah, we don't have any. It's true we don't have any branded products, but we do make a lot of ingredients that are used in branded products, and eventually people got to know us better. And so thankfully, the PE eventually went up. And since I think since a couple of months after the IPO, we've been trading above the general market's PE ratio.
And sir, what's life before and after being listed? I mean, for DNL itself.
Well, before we were listed, and after, the biggest difference I think would just be a lot of the regulatory work. That so as a listed company, there's a lot of compliance in terms of submitting quarterly financial reports, having a board with a lot of independent directors, and then a lot of submissions to the PSE and SEC. Um, another difference is since we've been listed, we have a lot of our own employees who are shareholders of the company, and I think that's been a good thing. It means that we now have means to reward employees. So, for example, some of our employees they were able to buy stock at the IPO. For some, we also give shares if they perform really well. So, and I think the big difference there, kasi it's so easy diba, to give cash as a bonus. But cash, if you don't invest it, diba, it's usually just spent. Or even if you invest it, how much return can you get, diba? The interest rate for savings account or even for time deposit is so low. But investing in your own company stock, where you can see how well the company is doing, and you can therefore participate in the success of the company. If the company is doing well, the stock price goes up, the dividend goes up, then makikinabang rin yung mga stockholders. So I think that's been one welcome benefit for us as a listed company, because we do have a lot of employees who are stockholders. I think the last count I saw, around 80% of our employees are shareholders. So so that's a pretty decent amount or number of our employees, and that's something actually we're quite happy about. So it really means that our employees are very aligned with how the company is doing, diba? If the company doesn't do well, of course the stock price goes down. But if the company does well, then a lot of people benefit.
And I think, sir, it will create accountability to the employees also to do very well, because they're part owners of it. They're not just like working for the company. It's really nice. It's nice to know that you're not just giving them bonus, you're also giving them a chance to change their mindset in terms of investing. Sir, when you learned about COVID-19, and what was the first thing? What was the thoughts that you have for the company?
So actually, COVID, when it first came out in China, then started to spread. That was December, January, February. We weren't really seeing major impact to us. However, we did start noticing that people were really going out less, and we were hearing reports people were also traveling less, especially internationally. And then, of course, when the lockdown happened in March, akala namin, I think, fair to say, a lot of people thought the lockdown would last for maybe, 1 or 2 weeks. Then after that, maybe we could reopen. No, I don't think anyone imagined we would be in ECQ for 2 months, and then hanggang ngayon, GCQ pa rin tayo. So it's been quite a challenging year. I guess it means for us, we've had to really assess, reassess, plan, and change our plans again and again. So in that sense, it's been challenging. But, well, yun lang. It means being very willing to adapt to the constantly changing environment.
I agree, sir. Sir, how did DNL adjust during the pandemic situation? Having said that, what you said a while ago.
So, so for us, the main difficulty was no one really knew what was going on. No one really knew what was going to happen, in the next day, the next week, the next month. Because especially in the beginning, no one had real information about uh, how long it would last. Everyone was seeing the virus case counts going up, very concerning. Um, and I think in the beginning, a lot of people were really scared of going out, of going to work. Um, so it was very difficult for us in the beginning. Uh, but we never closed. So that's one good thing, I guess, about a company that makes essentials for a lot of industries in the Philippines. So since we make food ingredients, we also make items like disinfectants, alcohol. They're counted as essentials. So from day one of ECQ, we were continuing to operate. Yun lang, hirap because, di ba, walang public transportation. And then there was a lot of concern about baka magkahawaan. So at one point, we had over 400 people sleeping at our sites. Kasi there was no way for them to go home, and then ayaw rin nila umuwi kasi baka mahawa yung mga kasama sa bahay. So they would stay at our sites. I think for mga 1 month, we had a lot of people staying at our sites. And then slowly nagkaroon ng konting public transportation, and a lot of our people ended up buying motorcycles and bikes. We also help our employees get loans to buy bikes. And so as of today, none of our employees sleep on site anymore, but public transport still fairly limited. But I think in that sense, we're fairly lucky that we were still able to operate. The bigger impact on us has really been the big hit on demand, especially in the first month of ECQ. A lot of our customers were closed, diba? So a lot of factories were closed, all the malls were closed, restaurants were closed. I remember a lot of the fast food chains, sobrang konti lang yung branches na open that first 1 or 2 weeks of ECQ. And I remember going to Eastwood to buy KFC for lunch to bring home. And I remember lining up, and then the menu board, they were only selling fried chicken, rice, soft drinks, and I think nothing else. That was it. So walang sandwiches, walang dessert, ganyan. So it looked like a lot of customers or a lot of companies decided to just focus on their core products. One difficulty a lot of companies had was yung supply chain nila. So basically, for the ability to get all of the different ingredients and raw materials and people to come in when they're needed, and then to deploy them at the different branches and the different stores, that was really badly affected. And so I think a lot of companies decided to simplify matters and just focus on their core products first. So that also affected us. But I think over time, things improved. We've seen, I think just about all malls are already open. Most establishments, probably 80-90% of establishments are back open already, although limited. And most menus are almost back to normal already. So we have seen business start to recover since the low point was April. April was the first full month of ECQ. And what we disclosed in the third quarter, every month since April, things got better for us. So in fact, in the third quarter, our non-food businesses, the net income is back to the same level as last year's third quarter. So you could say our non-food business is a little under half of total company revenues, and that's back to normal as of the third quarter. But our food business is still down. I think it's down like around 20+%. and that might take a while. So, so until you don't have full dine-in capacity in restaurants, and until people still have that fear of going out, I think our food business and the food industry in general, the impact still felt quite heavily.
Agree, sir. Um, Sir, given that all the challenges that you're encountering, I mean, for because of the situation that we all know, there's no excuse. No one, I mean, everyone's experiencing it. How do you picture success for DNL? I mean, I know that this is gonna be just temporary, but how do you picture success for DNL moving forward?
So for us, since around 2/3 of our revenue is still domestic, we're very highly dependent on how the country does. And what we've been trying to do is we have been trying to look and listen at what our customers constantly need, and we use our R&D to develop new products for our clients. So for us, that would the what we would count as success is that ability to continue to listen and, more importantly, understand what our customers need, and then use our R&D to come up with new products that can satisfy their needs. Um, so, so thankfully, this year we didn't have any months where we lost money. Although April was pretty close, but of course, 2020 is going to be, in terms of net income, we're going to be down from 2019. But I would count it as a form of success na rin, na at least, the company's still here. Most, siguro 99% of the employees we had when we started the year are still with us. So, we didn't have a lot of casualties, or in terms of, lost headcount. So there are a lot of things that I'm quite thankful for and grateful for. And in a way, I guess you could say I could count it as success. Na, we're still here, and I think very important, we are ramping up. We're continuing with our expansion in Batangas, so that will be finished by the end of 2021. So it means na hopefully by then, wala ng COVID, things are back to normal. So it means that once wala ng COVID, we should hit the ground running, and we will be well placed to take advantage of the strong economy. In 1918 to 1920, I think the Spanish flu really ravaged the world, the US. But after the Spanish flu was over, you had the Roaring Twenties in the US, di ba? And so there was a lot of pent-up demand. And then in the Roaring Twenties, there was so much growth. Hopefully, the same thing will happen here in the Philippines as well as globally. So I'm quite optimistic.
Thank you, sir. It's nice to hear all those thoughts of yours. And so, given that what you've said, what do you think? What does 2021 look like for DNL? So it's a continuous. You said it will be continuous. The one that the expansion in Batangas will be continued. What else would you look for 2021 for DNL?
Um, so I think a lot of the conditions for, in terms of what's happening now, a lot of it will likely still be present in 2021. So COVID's still going to be around, some form of quarantine. The government's been talking about moving us to MGCQ, lighter form. So I think in that sense, definitely better than 2020. because we won't have the kind of lockdown and restrictions we saw, especially during ECQ. So in that sense, I'm quite optimistic. I think pretty sure na to say 2021 will be better than 2020 unless nagka-surge ulit. So that's something we're very concerned about and we're looking out for. So every day I look at the DOH reports, in case counts tumataas ba? Kasi the concern, di ba, Christmas, New Year, people might go out and baka mag-spike yung number of cases. So that, medyo nakakatakot yan. But so far, so good. So far, the early reports, mukhang case count levels are still fairly, it hasn't really ramped up a lot. So if that continues, then 2021, I think will be good. Okay. And now globally, the vaccines being rolled out, a lot of countries like the US and in Europe and so on. And then other countries are rolling out their own versions of their vaccines as well. So in that sense, medyo optimistic about 2021 that it will be at least better than 2020. So the big question lang is, will 2021 be at least as good as 2019? So that's the big question mark. I can't answer that yet. I'm not sure.